Welcome to episode 4 of the Webcomic Beacon Presents First Issue.
I'm Marcus.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Fes. And this week, well, we're going to be looking at something called O.M.A.C. number 1.
O.M.A.C.
Before we get into this, I gotta say, it's like,
He has magic hair.
Beautiful hair.
I don't know.
Wow, I
Give
want
me
that
a
hair.
head with
This
hair.
this
I want
cover,
magic hair.
Beautiful hair.
this cover is kind of crazy. It's bright. It's colorful.
It looks like Peter Max ate a box of crayons. Kind of.
I don't know who Peter Max is.
But I'm looking at this, and it's like, I've never heard of O.M.A.C. before.
Yes.
Yes.
I have no idea if this is supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy.
I
Looking
still
at the
don't.
scene, I have no freaking idea what this might be. And it took me a while, but I see like there's some guys here.
There's some purple
They're wearing hoods, so maybe he's a good guy.
There's
because
purple there.
Yeah, purple.
Are
it's
those
a
guys?
Secondary.
These are guys.
They're purple bodies with red
hoods.
They are guys.
It's
okay.
kind of hard to tell, but you can see this guy's flowing Digimohawk.
Hey, he's wearing primary colors. I guess he must be good.
I don't know. There's a lot going on here.
They're wearing secondary
But
colors.
it certainly kind of pops. The logo against the blue, and then you got the circle going on. So it's kind of, I think it comes together fairly well. It looks a little messy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks too busy to really catch your eye from a comic book shelf.
Yeah, if it's far away
Yeah.
enough.
The saving grace is that the logo is simple and it's placed well so that the logo pops above all else.
But
Right.
personally, I think that the main issue is that too much space is really given to the character's hair to emphasize that this is based on the older O.M.A.C. designs as opposed to a more recent design where O.M.A.Cs were robots with very like Mohawk-ish metal
Okay,
pieces.
so you know some of the background. I don't
That's
know.
all I know about the background.
Okay, I know
We're
absolutely
all
nothing
about
to
the hair,
this.
man.
I know absolutely
Yeah.
nothing of this. And well, let's see. Getting in here, my initial thoughts were, well, it starts out simple enough, things happening in the office, and suddenly, boom! There's freaking, I am O.M.A.C. And it's like, okay, I guess
Retro.
maybe you're a bad guy. And he's tearing up shit. It's called, let's see, the actual story for this is Office Management Amidst Chaos.
Using the same font from Spider-Man in the 90s, his logo font.
Yeah.
So
Now, I would like to take note here about a couple of the creators. First of all, one of the people behind the story is, and the person behind the art is Keith Giffen, who is one of my favorite comics creators of all time. He doesn't strike 100% for me. I don't like 100% of what he does, but here his tone is very consistent throughout the comic. There's kind of a light touch to it. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about the creators is that the story is also by Dan DiDio, who I will not say much about.
Well, to me, like, just from reading the story itself, it was very frenetic, very action-oriented,
Yes.
and what it reminded me of was, like, once again, I kind of separate this 52 into comics for new readers and comics to bring in old readers. I think this fits very much in the latter camp. Because this is the kind of comic I would have read picking up a random number 1 from like the Jewel Osco grocery store in 1991, 1992. The purpose of a comic like this is just to give you a showcase of the character's powers to make you go, holy shit, this guy rules.
Well, I'd
And-
like to know a little bit more. I mean, I'm reading through this, and
Well,
I'm still just not knowing what the heck is going on.
To this day, I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy yet, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
same here. I have no idea.
I'm not saying that it's something that tells a necessarily very complicated story, just that from my point of view, that's what the idea is. I mean, like, just based on the retro design, the retro art, which is very much in a very Kirby mold.
There are Kirby dots everywhere.
Yeah, and Jack Kirby being one of the most well-respected comic creators of in comics, period. Setting from the 40s and back and forward.
And if anybody could do dots,
Yeah,
It was Kirby.
It was Kirby.
So
sorry.
Kirby knew how to use dots.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like to me, I understood what it was going for. It wasn't something that I necessarily liked anymore because as a kid, this was cool, but as an older reader, And as a reader who's sort of still trying to get back into American comics, this wasn't really something that I was huge on, but I understood what it was trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. So looking at it from that lens, I get it. Okay. You know, like, it may not be my cup of tea, but I get what they're going for.
Mm-hmm. This story struck me as being very busy. There are a lot of little bits of story that don't quite come together as a whole for me. The art looks very busy to me. Mm-hmm. I do like Keith Giffen's rendering, but there's something about the confluence of colors and the inking work that, I don't know, it doesn't look clear to me. There's a lot of really bright colors and nothing really pops out.
Yeah, it's definitely a shiny comic.
It's a very shiny comic, and everything's shiny from the background to the foreground, and to me it just doesn't, it's hard to follow the action sometimes, it's hard to follow the plot sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And I hate saying this about
too.
I hate saying this about a Giffen comic. I do. The thing I do like about it though is the light tone. There is a very lighthearted tone. There are comedy elements, and I totally dig comedy elements in my comics.
Precisely, and that's why I was very much okay with the way it kind of didn't take itself overly seriously. I mean, he fights like 3 or 4 different types of enemies. Forget enemies in particular. And what I kind of got from it is this is a comic book version of one level out of a video game. Especially an old style, like, Final Fight, X-Men arcade game type of setup, where your job is to infiltrate the base, get to the center, and break shit. Okay, that's every, storyline.
Yeah, and speaking of breaking shit, I mean, you don't get any much more than this 2-page spread right here.
That's a lot of breaking shit.
And it is nuts. I mean, to me...
And I think his mohawk is getting bigger,
Kirby
too.
dots everywhere. Check it out, man.
Dots,
and more dots.
More dots.
More dots now.
So, you get to the end of this, and then you realize, so that's who that's supposed to be, I guess. What's going on? I don't know.
Don't know if he's good or bad.
Don't know if he's good or bad, being controlled, somebody... I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough here to really... It's like, you didn't really intrigue... I'm more confused. I don't think it's sold well enough for me to really want to buy the next. What do you think?
I would give it right in the center, because if this is something that you grew up with and this is your wheelhouse, you will love O.M.A.C. Mm-hmm. If you're not really into the kind of throwback style, you're probably not going to want to pick it up.
But as a first issue, what a first issue is supposed to do, does it succeed, meh, or fail?
I would give it meh simply because it is completely subjective depending on taste. If your taste runs this way, this is a great first issue, because you find out what this guy can do. He's badass, he breaks shit, he beats people, and look, he's this dude who doesn't even know what he's been doing. And you want to see this happen more. It's like your classic Hulk story. It's very Hulk-ish in that matter, where you don't know if he's good or bad. If that's your deal, you're going to love it, because this is what you come to see. This is what you came to expect when you were a kid, and it's back for you. If this is not what you grew up with, and this is not, or if it is what you grew up with and you didn't like it then, you're not going to like it. So for me, I put it in the middle because it's highly subjective. This is either a wonderful comic or a terrible comic based upon your expectations.
I'm going to have to go meh as well. I'm kind of interested. If somebody else had it, I'd read it, but I think it doesn't answer enough to fully succeed to draw people in. What do you think?
I'd say, meh as well, just because the tone of it I really, really like. I might pick up future issues to see if it settles into a story that I'm really engaged with, but as is, it seemed like a lot of disparate elements that didn't really come quite together for me.
All right, and that was O.M.A.C, #1 of the new DC 52.